I've always used books as a haven and a way to escape from the actual world. However, everything was altered by that letter. That one piece of paper sandwiched between the pages of a returned copy of Rebecca. Up until that Tuesday afternoon at the library, I believed I knew the building, the suspense, and the ending of stories. "I'm Bailey," I said. However, such tidy patterns are not found in actual life. According to Sophie, you might want to take a look at this, as she moved the envelope over the checkout counter. Found it while reshelving in the mystery section. My name, Bailey, without a last name, was inscribed in meticulous, controlled strokes on the front. The paper within had a subtle hint of Martha's characteristic lavender perfume. "Your mother-in-law has been planning something. Watch her back. She's not who you think she is." I read it 3 times, my fingers trembling slightly. The words were typed, pristine, anonymous. Sophie leaned over my shoulder, her breath warm against my ear. "Holy," she whispered. "Martha's finally showing her true colors. This could be anyone," I said, but my stomach twisted. "Some bored teenager playing games." Right, because teenagers regularly warned librarians about their mothers-in-law. Sophie grabbed the letter, holding it up to the light. "This is expensive paper, the kind Martha would use." I snatched it back, folding it carefully. "Nathan needs to see this." "Nathan needs to grow a spine," Sophie muttered. 5 years of watching his mother treat you like dirt, and he still can't stand up to her. My phone buzzed. Speak of the devil. A text from Martha. "Dinner tonight, 7 a.m. sharp. Important family matters to discuss." Sophie read the message over my shoulder and snorted. Important family matters. Translation: another attempt to guilt Nathan into giving her money. I should cancel, I said, the words coming out weak, unconvincing. "No," Sophie said firmly. "Go. Watch her. Maybe whoever sent this letter is right. Maybe you'll finally see what she's really planning." The rest of my shift crawled by. Every time the door chimed, I jumped, half expecting Martha to materialize between the stacks. By closing time, I'd convinced myself I was being paranoid. Then I found the second note, tucked into my coat pocket. "She's going to try to destroy you. Don't let her." Nathan was already home when I arrived, loosening his tie in front of the mirror. "Ready for dinner with Mom?" he asked, smiling that hopeful smile that always made my heart ache. He wanted so badly for everyone to get along. I pulled out both notes. "We need to talk about these." He read them quickly, his forehead creasing. "This is ridiculous. Mom can be difficult, but she wouldn't." "Wouldn't what?" "Try to come between us," I snapped. "She's been doing that since day one, Nathan. Come on. These are probably jest. If you say pranks, I swear to God." I grabbed my purse, anger rising hot in my chest. Your mother hates me. She always has. And now someone's trying to warn me that she's planning something worse than her usual passive-aggressive bullshit. Nathan reached for me, but I stepped back. "We're going to be late," I said, and Martha hates tardiness almost as much as she hates me. The drive to his parents' house was silent. As we pulled into the driveway, I caught a glimpse of Martha watching from the window, her silhouette sharp against the warm light inside. For a moment, she looked like something out of a Gothic novel, the mysterious figure behind the glass, plotting in secret. I touched the letters in my pocket. Whatever game Martha was playing, whatever she had planned, I wasn't going to be her victim. Not anymore. "Ready?" Nathan asked, killing the engine. I smiled, thinking of all the revenge stories I'd shelved over the years. Absolutely. Martha's dining room suffocated me with its perfection. Crystal glasses caught the light just so, silverware gleamed in precise alignment, and the lavender-scented candles made my head swim. Everything arranged to remind us of our place in her carefully curated world. Bailey dear, Martha's voice dripped honey, sweet poison. I noticed the library's funding was cut again. Such a shame. Perhaps it's time to consider a more stable career. I stabbed at my salmon. The library's doing fine. Of course it is. She turned to Nathan. Darling, did you get a chance to look over those investment papers I sent? Nathan shifted in his chair. Mom, we talked about this. Bailey and I are saving for our own place. A house can wait. Martha waved her hand dismissively. Family comes first. Your father and I need to secure our retirement, and your expertise would be invaluable. Henry coughed softly into his napkin, eyes fixed on his plate. The coward's way out. I'd seen it 1,000 times. Actually, I set down my fork. We've already started house hunting. There's a lovely Victorian near the library. Oh, those old houses are money pits, Martha interrupted. Remember Cousin Rachel? She bought one of those death traps and nearly bankrupted herself with repairs. Speaking of Rachel, she's single again. Such a shame. She always had such a crush on you. The words hung in the air like smoke. I felt Nathan tense beside me. Mother. His voice carried a warning edge I'd never heard before. Martha's smile didn't waver. I'm just catching up, darling. Bailey doesn't mind. Do you, dear? We're all family here. I reached for my water glass, buying time. The second note burned in my pocket. She's going to try to destroy you. Was this it? Death by 1,000 cuts at her perfectly set table. Nathan, Martha continued, about those investments. We need an answer by Friday. The opportunity won't last forever. How much? I asked suddenly. Martha blinked. I beg your pardon. How much are you asking for this time, Bailey? Nathan whispered. No, I want to know. How much of our savings does she want? The house down payment? All of it. Henry stood abruptly. I'll get coffee. Sit down, Henry, Martha snapped. To me, she said, I don't appreciate your tone. This is a private family matter. I am family, I said. Or have you forgotten that small detail from the wedding you tried to cancel? Bailey, please. Nathan touched my arm. 200,000, Martha said quietly. A small investment. Really, considering what's at stake. The room spun. 200,000? Our entire savings, gone in one manipulative swoop? Absolutely not. It's not your decision to make. Martha's mask slipped just for a moment. I caught a glimpse of something desperate in her eyes before the perfect smile returned. Nathan understands the importance of family loyalty. And I don't. I challenged. Is that what you've been telling everyone? Poor Nathan, trapped with that gold digger who doesn't understand family values. Mother, that's enough. Nathan stood. We're leaving. Martha rose too, her composure cracking. If you walk out that door without giving me an answer, you'll what? I challenged. Spread more rumors? Try to sabotage my job again? Or maybe send more anonymous notes? The room went silent. Martha's face drained of color, but something in her expression, a flicker of genuine confusion, made my stomach drop. She hadn't sent those notes. What notes? Henry asked, speaking for the first time all evening. Nathan grabbed our coats. We're done here. Mom, don't call about the money again. I mean it. In the car, Nathan's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. I'm sorry, he said. I should have shut this down years ago. I stared out the window, my mind racing. If Martha hadn't sent those warnings, who had? And why? My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Now you see what she's capable of. But tonight was just the beginning. Be ready. I deleted the message, heart pounding. Whoever was watching us. They were right about one thing. This was just the beginning. The email from Nathan's cousin, Rachel, sat in my inbox like a ticking bomb. Sophie leaned over my desk at the library, reading it for the third time. That manipulative witch, she hissed. She's been telling everyone you're infertile, that you've been lying to Nathan about wanting kids. My hands shook as I scrolled through Rachel's message. Martha told the entire family at their last reunion. She said Nathan was trapped with me, missing his chance at fatherhood. But you and Nathan decided together to wait. It doesn't matter, Sophie said. Martha's crafting her narrative. I clicked through the attached photos from the reunion. Smiling faces, Martha at the center, probably poisoning minds between coffee and dessert. The library door chimed. I slammed my laptop shut as Martha herself glided in, perfectly coiffed in her designer suit. Sophie squeezed my shoulder and retreated to the stacks, but stayed within earshot. Bailey dear, Martha said, I hoped I'd find you here. We're closed for lunch, I said. Oh, this won't take long. She placed a thick envelope on my desk. I thought you should see these yourself, rather than hear it from others. Inside were medical records, my medical records, private files from my gynecologist visits, including notes about the birth control I'd been on since marriage. How did you get these? My voice sounded distant, strange. A concerned friend at the hospital, she said. She agreed Nathan deserves to know the truth about your choices. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. I thought of all those mystery novels on our shelves, how the villains always revealed themselves through overconfidence. You broke federal law to get these records, I said quietly. That's an HIPAA violation. Prison time. Fines. Martha's smile flickered. I'm trying to protect my son by committing felonies. Spreading lies. They're not lies if they're documented, she said, tapping the envelope. Nathan wants children. You're preventing that. The family deserves to know. Get out. I stood, blood rushing in my ears. Get out before I call the police. You wouldn't dare. Think what it would do to Nathan, see his mother arrested. Better than watching you destroy his marriage with stolen medical records and lies. Sophie emerged from the stacks, phone raised. I got all that on video, Martha. Every word. Martha's face went slack. For a moment, I saw real fear in her eyes. Then she straightened, smoothing her jacket. You'll regret this, she said softly. Both of you. After she left, I collapsed in my chair, hands trembling. Sophie played back the video. Clear footage of Martha admitting to obtaining private medical records through illegal means. We've got her, Sophie said. This is actual evidence of actual crimes. My phone buzzed. Another anonymous message. Now you have what you need. Use it. Who wisely keeps sending these? Sophie asked. I stared at the message, a theory forming. Someone who knows Martha well. Someone who's watched her do this before. Henry, maybe. Then my phone rang. Nathan Bailey. His voice was tight. Mom just called. She said you threatened her at the library. What's going on? I looked at the medical records, the video, the anonymous messages, all the pieces of a puzzle I was finally starting to understand. "Come home early," I said. "There's something you need to see." After hanging up, I gathered everything into a folder. The records, Rachel's email, screenshots of the anonymous messages. 5 years of Martha's manipulation condensed into Danny evidence. "What are you going to do?" Sophie asked. I thought of Martha's smug certainty, her decades of controlling others through secrets and lies, the way she'd underestimated me, assuming I'd stay quiet, stay weak. "I'm going to give her exactly what she wants," I said. "A family meeting with everyone present. Let's see how well her lies hold up when everything comes to light." Sophie grinned. "Need backup?" "Always." I touched the folder, thinking of Martha's words. "You'll regret this, but she's the one who's going to regret starting this war." Nathan stared at the medical records spread across our kitchen table, his face unreadable. Outside, rain pelted the windows, but inside, the silence was deafening. "She did this." His voice cracked. "My mother actually stole your private records." I watched him pick up Sophie's phone, replaying the video for the 4th time. Martha's voice, clear and damning. A concerned friend at the hospital. "She's been planning this for months," I said. "The rumors about infertility, the pressure about children, the financial demands, it's all connected." Nathan's phone buzzed. Another message from Martha. He ignored it, but I caught the flash of guilt in his eyes. "What aren't you telling me?" He ran a hand through his hair. "She called earlier. Said if I don't transfer the money by Friday, she'll send those medical records to everyone at your library board meeting. Make it look like you've been lying about medical leave." My stomach lurched. The annual board meeting, where I was presenting my proposal for expanded community programs, the one that could secure my promotion to head librarian. "She's blackmailing you with my private information to get our savings?" I asked. I told her no, Nathan said quickly. "I swear, Bailey." But what? Maybe we should consider giving her something just to keep the peace. Until I stood so fast, my chair toppled backward. Until what? Until she demands more? Until she finds new ways to control us? She's still my mother, and I'm your wife. The words exploded out of me. Your wife? Who's watching your mother try to destroy everything I've built, and you're still making excuses for her? Nathan reached for me, but I stepped back. His phone buzzed again. This time, he looked. "She's at the house," he said quietly. "Dad's with her. They want to talk." "No, Bailey. No more talk. No more negotiations. No more pretending she'll change." I grabbed my coat. "You need to choose, Nathan, right now. Either you stand with me against her manipulation, or what?" I met his eyes. "Or I'll fight this battle alone, and I promise you won't like how it ends." The doorbell rang. We both jumped. "I didn't tell her our address," Nathan said. Through the front window, I saw Martha and Henry on our porch. Martha clutched a manila envelope. Henry looked ill. Another buzz from Nathan's phone. Not Martha this time, an unknown number. "Don't let them in." Martha found the letters, all of them. My blood ran cold. The anonymous warnings. Martha had discovered them. "Bailey?" Nathan watched me, confused. "What letters?" The doorbell rang again, more insistent. "Sweetheart," Martha's voice carried through the door. "We know you're home. We need to discuss these interesting messages I found." I pulled out my phone and texted Sophie. 911. Need backup. Bring the video. "What are you doing?" Nathan asked. "Ending this tonight. I moved toward the door. But first, you need to decide. Are you with me or against me? Martha knocked again. Bailey, I think it's time we had an honest conversation about your intentions with my son. Nathan looked between me and the door. Years of conditioning warring with the evidence of his mother's betrayal. I saw the moment something shifted in his eyes. He took my hand. What's the plan? We let them in, I said. Show them everything. The records, the video, the financial demands. Call their bluff. And if they don't bluff, I squeezed his hand. Then we show them exactly what happens when you corner a librarian who reads mystery novels for fun. Nathan's laugh was shaky, but he straightened his shoulders and moved toward the door. Together, he asked. I thought of all the times I'd stayed quiet, played nice, let Martha's poison spread. Not anymore. The anonymous messenger was right. Now I had everything I needed. Together, I agreed and reached for the door handle. The library board meeting room fell silent as my presentation crashed on the screen, replaced by personal medical records and private emails. 20 faces turned toward me, their expressions ranging from shock to pity to disgust. As you can see, Martha's voice carried from the back of the room. Mrs. Davidson has been less than honest about her qualifications and personal situation. I gripped the podium, knuckles white. Martha stood there in her perfect suit, Henry hovering uncertainly beside her. The anonymous warning from this morning flashed through my mind. Watch the presentation files carefully. Too late. These records are stolen, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Are they accurate? Board Chairman Stevens asked. Before I could answer, Martha stepped forward. The library board deserves to know if their potential head librarian has been falsifying medical leave requests and lying about her ability to commit long-term to this position. That's enough. Sophie stood up from her seat, phone in hand. I have evidence that Mrs. Wilson obtained these records illegally. I'm afraid that's not relevant right now, Martha interrupted smoothly. The question is about Mrs. Davidson's integrity. My carefully prepared presentation about community outreach programs lay forgotten. 5 years of work destroyed in 5 minutes by stolen medical records and twisted truths. Bailey. Nathan's voice from the doorway made everyone turn. He wasn't supposed to be here. He had a meeting across town. But there he stood, holding a manila envelope. Martha's composure slipped. Nathan, darling, this isn't. I found these in your study, he said, pulling out documents, financial records, emails, evidence of where that investment money was really going. The room shifted. Martha took a step back. Nathan, Henry warned, finally speaking. Don't. Why not, Dad? Afraid everyone will learn that Mom's been embezzling from your company? That she needs our savings to cover it up before the audit next month? The silenced turned sharp. Martha's face went ash white. You went through my private files, she whispered. Like you went through Bailey's medical records. Nathan moved to stand beside me. It's over, Mom. The audit committee already has copies of everything. Martha's mask cracked. You don't understand. I had to. I was protecting our family name. By destroying mine, I found my voice again. By sabotaging my career, you were taking him away from us. The words burst from her like bullets. Everything I did for Nathan. For our family. No, Nathan's hand found mine. You did it for yourself. And now you've lost everything. Martha turned to Henry, reaching for him, but he stepped back. The movement was small, yet devastating in its finality. Henry, I can't cover for you anymore. he said quietly. Not this time. Chairman Stevens cleared his throat. I believe we should reschedule this presentation and perhaps involve the hospital's legal team regarding these privacy violations. Martha's face hardened. If you pursue this, I cut in. Share more stolen records, spread more lies. I looked at the board members, at Sophie with her phone still recording, at Nathan standing firm beside me. I'm done being afraid of you. The anonymous messenger had been right all along. Martha was capable of anything, but so was I. Nathan! Martha tried one last time. Please. But Nathan was already gathering my presentation materials, his hands steady on my back. Goodbye, Mom. We left, leaving Martha standing there, Henry finally walking away from her. The board members murmured among themselves. In the hallway, my phone buzzed one final time. Now you're free, both of you. I looked at the message, then at Nathan. Did you send these? The anonymous warnings? He shook his head. No, but I think I know who did. He nodded toward the parking lot where Henry sat in his car, phone in hand, looking years younger despite everything. Ready to go home? Nathan asked. I thought of Martha, of revenge and justice, of the fine line between protecting yourself and becoming what you fear. Yes, I said. Let's go home. Martha's house loomed before me in the gathering dusk, windows dark except for a single light in her study. Henry's warning text burned in my mind. She's desperate. Be careful. I clutched the envelope containing copies of everything. The financial records, the medical files, the evidence of her embezzlement. The originals were safe with Nathan's lawyer, but these would serve their purpose. The front door opened before I could knock. Martha stood there, still elegant despite everything. But her eyes were different, harder, dangerous. I wondered when you'd come, she said. We need to talk. She stepped aside, gesturing me in. The house smelled of lavender and desperation. Family photos lined the walls. Nathan's whole life, carefully curated. I noticed for the first time that in every picture, Martha stood between Nathan and whoever else was in the frame. Drink. She moved to the bar cart. No, suit yourself. She poured something amber into a crystal glass. I assume you're here to negotiate. I'm here to end this. She laughed, a brittle sound. And what? My reputation? My marriage? My relationship with my son? You've already done that. You did that yourself. Did I? She turned, something glinting in her hand. My phone. The one I'd left in my car. Interesting messages you've been getting. Henry's quite the secret keeper, isn't he? My stomach dropped. How did you get into your car? Really, Bailey? You should be more careful where you leave spare keys. She scrolled through the messages. My own husband conspiring against me, teaching you how to destroy me. Henry was trying to protect everyone, including you. Protect me? The glass shattered in her grip, but she didn't seem to notice the blood or whiskey dripping from her fingers. I built everything we have. Every connection, every advantage, every opportunity for Nathan and you. And Henry tried to tear it all down. Nathan deserves his own life. He had a perfect life until you poisoned him against me. She moved closer, blood dropping onto the pristine carpet. But I can fix this. I can fix everything. It's over, Martha. The audit committee has the files. The hospital board knows about the stolen records. You've lost. Have I? Her smile turned savage. Check your email, dear. My phone screen lit up in her bloody hand. New message from the library board. Effective immediately. My position was terminated. Budget cuts. No references would be provided. Amazing what a few well-placed calls can do, Martha said softly. Even in disgrace, I still have influence. People still owe me favors. Nathan won't let you. Nathan's on a flight to London. Emergency conference. Didn't he tell you? Her eyes glittered. He'll be gone 2 weeks. Plenty of time for you to reconsider things. My chest tightened. Nathan hadn't mentioned any conference. You're lying, I said. She picked up her phone and showed me the flight confirmation. Nathan Davidson departed 30 minutes ago. He left you to face me alone. She whispered. Deep down, he'll always choose family first. Real family, she added. Are you? Without a job, without support, with your reputation in ruins? She stepped closer. Leave him. Walk away now, and I'll make sure you land on your feet somewhere far from here. Stay, and I'll destroy everything you touch. Every job application, every rental agreement, every attempt to rebuild. You can't. I can. I will, because unlike you, I understand what real love is, the kind that demands sacrifice. My phone buzzed again. Nathan, sorry about the sudden trip. Mom said she'd explain. Talk when I get back. The room spun. Martha pressed my bloody phone into my hand. Think carefully about your choice. Remember, I made you once. I can unmake you just as easily. She turned away, leaving me standing in her perfect house with its perfect photos and the taste of ashes in my mouth. On the wall, Nathan smiled from every frame, always with Martha between him and the world. My phone buzzed one last time. Henry, I'm sorry. I tried to warn you. Outside, rain began to fall, washing away the last traces of daylight, and with it, my last illusions of victory. The family reunion buzzed with tension as I walked in. Martha's perfect smile faltered when she saw me. 2 weeks of silence had made her careless, confident in her victory. She hadn't expected me to come. She certainly hadn't expected Nathan beside me. Bailey, she recovered quickly. I thought you'd be elsewhere by now. Funny thing about London conferences, Nathan said. They sent confirmation emails to your actual work address. Martha's champagne glass trembled slightly. Around us, relatives pretended not to watch, but I caught Rachel's wide eyes, Henry's careful stillness by the fireplace. Nathan, darling, I can explain. Save it. I pulled out my phone and clicked play. Martha's voice filled the room. I made you once. I can unmake you just as easily. The party went silent. Martha's face drained of color. That's not. I never. I found the storage unit. Henry spoke up. The one with all the files. Every person you've ever threatened, blackmailed, or destroyed. 20 years of carefully documented revenge. Martha's mask cracked. You went through my private things, like you went through mine. I stepped closer. The medical records were just the start, weren't they? I found the others. The jobs that mysteriously fell through, the apartment applications that got denied. You've been sabotaging me for years. I was protecting my son. You were protecting yourself, Nathan said. Dad showed me everything. The embezzlement, the threats, the lies, even Rachel's divorce. You orchestrated that too, didn't you? Rachel gasped. Martha spun toward her. Rachel, no. Is it true? Rachel's voice shook. Did you tell James I was cheating? Martha's silence was answer enough. It's over, Mom, Nathan said quietly. The audit committee meets tomorrow. The police have the files, all of them. You wouldn't dare. But fear had replaced certainty in her eyes. I'm your mother, she said, her voice trembling. Yes, you are. Nathan's voice hardened. And you're going to face consequences like any other criminal. Martha laughed, high and brittle. Criminal? Everything I did for this family, to protect us, to keep us together. No, I moved between them. You did it for control, because you'd rather destroy people than risk losing your power over them. You ungrateful. She lunged for me, but Henry caught her arm. Enough, Martha. She stared at him, betrayal raw on her face. You too? After everything we built? Henry's gentle voice carried through the room. You built this house of cards. I just watched it destroy everyone we loved. The police are outside, Nathan said. It's your choice how this ends. Martha looked around the room at the family members backing away, at Henry's quiet resignation, at Nathan's resolved face, and finally at me. You think you've won, she whispered. You think this makes you better than me. No, I said. It makes me different from you. I could have destroyed you, quietly leaked the evidence anonymously, made you suffer like you made others suffer. But I chose justice over revenge. Justice, she spat. You stole my son. You lost him yourself. I said, every manipulation, every lie, every person you hurt, that was your choice. Blue lights flashed outside. Martha straightened, smoothed her dress with trembling hands. I want my lawyer, she said to the room at large, then to Nathan. When you realize what she's done to this family, don't expect forgiveness. As the police led her away, Henry touched my arm. The anonymous warnings. That was you. He nodded. Someone had to stop her. I just wasn't brave enough to do it myself. Nathan took my hand as we watched the police car drive away. The family reunion continued behind us, voices gradually rising, secrets and stories spilling out like water through broken glass. Ready to go home? Nathan asked. I thought of Martha's perfect house, her perfect photos, her perfect lies, of revenge and justice, and the thin line between them. Yes, I said. Let's go home. The courthouse steps felt colder than they should in spring. Martha stood at the top, her designer suit replaced by something simpler, her perfect mask finally cracked beyond repair. The embezzlement charges had stuck. The unauthorized access to medical records, too. 5 years, Nathan said beside me, his voice steady, with the possibility of parole in 3. Martha's eyes found mine across the distance. No hatred there anymore, just something harder to name. Understanding, maybe, or recognition. Henry waited by his car, boxes visible in the back seat. I sold the house last week. Bailey. Martha's voice carried down the steps. The guards paused, allowing her this final moment. Was it worth it? The question hung between us like smoke. Worth the pain, the betrayal, the destruction of a family's carefully maintained illusions. Ask me again in 5 years, I said. She nodded, as if this answered something else entirely. Then she turned to Nathan. I did love you in my way. I know, Mom, he said. His hand found mine. That's what made it worse. The guards led her away. I watched until the doors closed, thinking of all those mystery novels on my library shelves. How revenge never quite tastes the way you expect it to. You okay? Sophie appeared beside us, notebook in hand. The story had made her career as an investigative journalist. Martha's web of manipulation spanning decades, touching countless lives. I got a job offer, I said. different library system, clean slate. We're not taking it, Nathan added. Sophie raised an eyebrow. No running. Feels too much like letting her win. I watched Henry drive away toward his new life in Arizona. Besides, someone needs to help rebuild what she broke. Rachel approached, her divorce papers finally signed. The family's gathering at my place to talk. Really talk. Maybe for the first time. She hesitated. Will you come? Nathan looked at me, waiting. 5 years ago, I would have said yes automatically, eager to prove myself worthy of acceptance. Now I understood. Worthiness wasn't the point. Another time, I said, today's for family. You are family, Rachel insisted. I know, I said. That's why I can say no. She hugged me, whispering, thank you for being braver than the rest of us. After she left, Sophie studied my face. So what now? Happy ever after? I thought of Martha's storage unit, those meticulous files documenting decades of destruction. How thin the line between protection and control, between justice and revenge. Now we rebuild, Nathan said. Together. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. One last warning from Henry. She kept copies hidden somewhere even I couldn't find. Be careful. I deleted it without showing Nathan. Some secrets were better left buried. Some battles better left unfought. I'd learned that much at least. Ready to go home? Nathan asked. Home, I said, not Martha's perfect house with its perfect photos and suffocating lavender. Our home, with its mismatched furniture and overflowing bookshelves, where we could write our own story, free from manipulation and fear. Actually, I said, let's get coffee first. I want to tell you about this mystery novel I'm thinking of writing. Nathan smiled, understanding. Some stories need to be told, even if only to make sense of the ending. As we walked away, I glanced back one last time at the courthouse. Through a high window, I caught a glimpse of Martha being led down a corridor, her head held high, still proud, still unbroken, still teaching me even now about the price of victory and the weight of choices. Allowing her ghost to fade into memory, I turned aside. In some way, the spring air felt lighter and cleaner. Not quite a conclusion. They are found only in books. However, there is a new chapter that needs to be written. So, Nathan said, tell me about this novel. Squeezing his hand, I started talking to him about a tale in which justice and retribution dance together, where triumph tastes like ashes and hope, and where choosing to write a different future, rather than ignoring the past, is what heals.